Virtus.pro now, third pick. They have a little bit of a think about it, and here we go again. We saw this in game 1 of the last series in Zayak. A monster ES performance.
Oh yeah.
It's up against the Chen draft, John. I mean, Earthshaker loves versing Chen, naturally. I'm kind of scared now for HellRaisers. Like, I love their draft, I love the aggression, I love where they're going with it.
10 seconds remaining.
But man, that Zayak Earthshaker, that was something else.
It definitely was. I think that's something HellRaisers has to be very conscious about now. It's a great response to holding something like the Void Spirit down. It's a great response to really dealing with the Chen creeps. Just turning it against HellRaisers there, so you're going to be conscious about your spacing a lot of the time. And it even gives you a way to control the Slark while he's in his ultimate. So you kind of have a way of, at the very least, making sure the Slark doesn't get as much damage out or doesn't get that clean escape he wants with his ult, although it's still a fairly slippery hero. It's still going to be pretty hard to completely lock in place, but VP, I think with just a Shaker, they're going to be pretty happy.
Then again, though, the Slark up against Timber, he's going to just continuously take Essence Shift stacks over and over again. The tankier the Timber, the better, right? Slark, he may not like it during the laning phase so much, because Whirling Death can be a bit obnoxious to play against, but once you hit that mid game during a team fight, if the Slark can just jump on this Timbersaw and just get a few hits off to begin with, it really does increase his power quite high. I mean, 3 agi per Essence Shift stack, it's quite a lot.
It really is. So that's something that Virtus.pro will have to watch out for, but I think when you have a Timbersaw, you really don't want to reach that point anyway, where it's late enough that the Slark can just right-click you. I think you're in a lot of trouble, for the most part, in games where we see Timbersaws at that situation overall, and every time we see that pick. So I think VP is going to be looking at a bit of a faster draft, and that might allow them to not get the timing out. In fact, they go for that Faceless Void themselves as well. They go back to that hero. Yeah, they've got that great control for the Slark now. It's a great core to throw in up there. We have seen what they can do with that hero. I think Kuman was really impressive with his Faceless Void, and I'm looking forward to see them play around the timing of that hero once more. They have to be very conscious about HellRaisers' own timing. Like, they are going to be playing around their Shadow Shaman wards. They're going to be playing around the objectives they can melt down. VP has to stop that momentum, get themselves up and running, and ride through that initial pushing wave from HellRaisers.
Yeah, this game's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of big ultimates, a lot of slippery heroes, and it seems like it's going to amount to whether HellRaisers can get that early lead and start taking over map control throughout that mid game. Obviously, if you do, VP, they won't probably have enough space to get Kuman up on that Void. Then again, you still have all the answers on VP, so this should be an even game already, but we still do have one more pickup left for each team. HellRaisers, they get rid of the Leshrac themselves, and Virtus.pro get rid of the Beastmaster, who, as we all know, is a direct counter towards the Timber, especially towards the Void. Does not enjoy getting Primal Roared up. And now, final pickup. What's the mid pick here for Mr. No One?
It's going to be interesting to see. You want something that doesn't take too long to come in line. You need something that plays with the Void quite well. If the DP wasn't banned, I think it would have been very nice in here. Just gives you some push as well, but it's not in the pool right now. It's a bit rough. I guess something like the Razor could work out if you want to play really highly aggressive, but they go to SF. So you've got that, you've got this ranged core down mid. You can play outside of that Chronosphere quite well. It can hold its own against the Void Spirit fairly nicely. And if things do go bad, it can just dip back in that jungle. So I like that last pick from VP. I think it does fill in the holes in their draft quite nicely. And HellRaisers do fall back to the Night Stalker. So we'll see just how well they can maximize that hero, of course. The last time we saw Night Stalker, not the best time. But HellRaisers is playing it. Funnick is on that hero, so we'll see how far he can push it.
Yeah, poor old General in that game, man. That was that was one of the roughest NS performances I've ever seen. Shout out to him though; he didn't give up, and they almost came back that game. I believe that was the high ground attempt where they were like 40k ahead on the side of HellRaisers, and they just, one would make the argument in that game that HellRaisers was sieging a little too slowly considering the lead. There was quite a bit of hesitation there. Especially a lot of the viewers talking in the chat as well, they were saying the same thing, and it did look like quite a bit of hesitation. And I think with a draft like this, HellRaisers, they can't really hesitate, right? You've got a Chen, you've got a Shaman, you got to go. You can't wait up against the Void SF Timber.
No, there's no time to wait up against that. Like, the Timbersaw is going to be always relevant for this damage output because the Void is there. So even if you're into the late game, you've got your BKBs, you're all super tanky, the Timbersaw's Chakram is still going to do work inside that Chronosphere. It's just going to be very hard to deal with every single time. So there's always going to be a lot of value there for VP. HellRaisers, with this kind of draft, they really have to look at applying a lot of pressure early on from the laning phase into that mid game, clearing out those outer towers, and shutting down VP. VP, they're going to take a little bit more time to farm up with the Void, with the Timbersaw and the Shadow Fiend. They do require some gold to get going, whereas HellRaisers, you could get going just by EXP, as long as you're not, focus out. You're not too far behind in terms of net worth. All things equal, these guys do spike a bit earlier, and I would like HellRaisers to maintain that aggression we have been seeing coming out from them, especially up against a team like VP. You cannot allow these guys to just get big. We have seen that happen in the last series, and VP just gets really, really big, and you can't allow that to happen.
You definitely can't. Though we do go into game number 1 of this upper bracket final between HellRaisers and Virtus.pro. It is, of course, a best of 3. Winner of this straight through to the grand final. Loser will have another chance in the lower bracket final up against either Windstrike or Flight of Moon. Well, we won't go that far yet. We'll see how game 1 goes as HellRaisers. Of course, they do have plenty of early kill potential with this kind of draft. You might need a couple levels up first, but will Virtus.pro get caught with their pants down? It could be a bit awkward for them.
I am shocked. A beautiful soul for my collection.
Solo this game apparently not wanting to die. He's just in shock.
He's got to spam that one voice line. That was key to victory there.
It was. BP will go ahead and take a very early outpost off the Radiant. And we see them trying to do the same thing up at top, but Kuman is there. He'll make sure Funnick is forced to back. HellRaisers will take it back anyway. Not too big of a deal. Nyx going to go ahead and say hello to Resolution. Though no, never mind. Fortune's End are going to fly out. They won't bother trying. Top lane, Kuman does manage to snipe one away from Funnick, so that's going to be a very positive start for VP. They'll get 3 bound runes, and they'll only give 1 away to HellRaisers.
Yeah, it's a fantastic start for VP. It especially works out quite well down mid. With a hero like SF, every single bit of gold counts. This is going to allow him to be just that much more secure in his mid lane start.
Of course, he's up against Kasani on that Void Spirit, and this should be an interesting matchup. I don't see no one having too much of a problem here, though. Like, you've got a lot of damage output from Kasani, but he does need the levels. He doesn't really need too many levels. Like, by the time you've hit level 3 and you have level 2 raise, you have all the damage you need. Like, look at no one. Already 3 raises out.
Yeah, it's really painful for Kasani to cop all that damage, and is kind of forced to step back just a bit. They do lose a courier.
It was Zayak on the Earthshaker, taking down Poshka's courier. Poshka. I believe he did get the tangos out that he wanted. He runs straight up to Resolution, and that's generally not a great idea. Rezo does have the level 1 Whirling Death, and it still does a lot of damage regardless of what level it's at. Looking back over to that mid lane, Kasani going to be able to farm underneath his tier 1 tower. And that'll at least allow him to secure a few CS. You've also got to remember no one, he's still farming up those souls. It's not like he had a clockwork to get in that good start. And he is going to find himself ahead in CS already.
Yeah, it's, again, a fairly... I don't think it's going to be too explosive down mid, but it should be a better lane for the SF as the game goes on. And I think without any sort of rotations, that's just really going to be the case.
So we'll see Roger getting himself a heal troll priest. So he has a bit of heal there. In fact, mid lane, what's going on there? Krisani copping a fissure, but he'll be okay. He didn't have enough damage. But more importantly, this heal troll priest is running through the tier 1 and Kuman will take it. Roger just not respecting his servants, I suppose you'd call them.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate, but hey. Sometimes certain lives do have to be put up for the greater cause, and Roger is trying to make this lane as hard as possible for Kuman. Doesn't seem to be the case though, like Kuman's still farming fairly well, all things considered, up top.
So is Funnick. I guess with this kind of draft from HellRaisers, like, as long as you secure that CS on the Night Stalker and he is able to be very effective early, maybe they're just happy with that. Although mid lane, looks like Kasani is going to drop pretty darn low, but he does get the shield up. It looks like it may not be enough. Zayak with the body blocks, not allowing him to go anywhere. And no one is able to finish the job off. That'll be the first kill going to Virtus.pro.
Yeah, really nice, clean kill going the way of VP. Really good rotation early on from Zayak. We saw him hang around that mid lane for a while. Unfortunately for HellRaisers, they're not able to punish Resolution while he's alone because he's a Timbersaw. So they try to make a move. They try to drop him low. Just regens back up.
And Zayak, just at that level 2 mark, may just return to the mid lane. He did end up walking down bot, but sees Kasani still pretty far forward. He'll step back now for that range creep at the tier 1 tower and will commit the Resonant Pulse to ensure he gets it. Meanwhile though, top lane, Roger does go down on the Chen. Kuman able to pick up a kill on the Void. Or rather the Void. Almost said Void Spirit. But that was not the case. As Kasani again being blocked up this time, but he has to dissimulate. And he'll be okay.
Yeah, it is just a bit harder to get that done the same way this time around. He does have a bit more leeway in escaping, although this lane's just not going to be easy. Like, the pressure from Zayak, the damage from no one, is going to force Kasani to play a bit more defensively than he'd like here.
Zayak will leave the lane once again. Gonna head down bot. How's our Slark doing? Nyx, 25-7, top of the last hits board. So we talked about Kuman not really being slowed down, but it's kind of the same story here down at bot. Nyx is finding every CS that really comes in front of him. And Rezo,
Yeah,
he's just not able to stop him yet. But they are going to jump on Poshka. Chain's going to be there, but he's still only level 5. Now Shackles will come out. Nyx does have that Essence Shift at level 1. Will just take a few stacks for himself and gets out.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much you can expect coming out from the Timbersaw here. It's a hard lane for him to just jump in by himself. He's going to survive, but the pressure you're going to be applying on his Slark isn't too great, especially when there's a Shadow Shaman around to babysit that Slark. So you're sacrificing potential shutdown on the Slark to really keep this Void Spirit in check, and I think that's a pretty smart move from VP. We've seen Void Spirits really just kick off a bit too much, in fact.
Zayak, oh, Zayak! What a fissure!
Oh, yeah.
Just in the nick of time, and he almost got the dissimulate out, but he was just mid-cast animation when no one got that last raise off.
Oh yeah, it's really just this Shaker causing so many issues. They are committing quite hard to shutting down that Void Spirit. I think it's gonna pay off. I think that's one thing that we don't see too often, is that Void Spirit being pressured as is. And Kasani's just not going to be too much of a factor. He's going to have to take some time to farm up, which means there is going to be a moment where Nyx is going to be vulnerable.
Oh, funny. Getting jumped up at top. Kerman getting some bashes, and Fortune's End will certainly help him out, though. Purifying Flames actually going to heal him up a bit. Funnick still running away. Solo holds on to that next Purifying Flames, just waiting for Kuman to get lucky with a bash, but now the rotations. Maposhka and Roger are here. They'd love this kill, but Time Walk is going to allow Kuman to get out. That was 3 rotations being made. I suppose you could call that worthwhile, though, because they do make sure the Night Stalker survives.
Yeah, they do manage to keep Funnick alive. They've got heroes up top to maybe posture for that tier 1 as well, but Zayak makes a rotation up top now as well, so any sort of deep dive might be punished here.
But it is nighttime though. Funny, gonna move forward. He is very deep. But there will be no form of punishment yet. Looking for another target, Zayak. Just trying to run around and just avoid Roger with these creeps. The Satire Mind Stealers. They can burn 100 mana apparently, so there's that. Now they go onto the Oracle solo, being slowed up. Raindrops will block out some damage, and now a nice Fisher, but the TP in front of Maposhka, he cancels it off himself. And in fact, we will have a rotation from Kasani on the Void Spirit. He has hit that level 6 mark, and now they look to start making a push happen.
Yeah, that should secure them that tier 1 up top. And of course, this is going to slow down Kuman's farm. He does TP away though. He's going to be able to keep himself safe and try to build up elsewhere.
It's not going to protect your tier 1 top. They're just going to take it for free. And I mean, Resolution is trying to do the same down a bot lane, but it's a Timbersaw. He can't exactly hit very fast, and he doesn't hit very hard either. So he'll chakra the creep wave, but you will see HellRaisers. They will have more than enough time to come in and defend this if they wish. However, VP, they have Chrono up, and it looks like just with the Chrono alone, they look to make a play at level 6 for Kuman. And I said Rezo wouldn't take the tower fast, but he gets away with it.
Yeah, he had a pretty big creep wave as well, stacked up. And again, no TPs from HellRaisers means it just falls. So it's a tier 1 for a tier 1. I think VP's going to be happy with that trade. As long as they can keep the objective trades even for the most part in this early to mid game, you're not giving HellRaisers too much of an advantage, and that's going to keep the map fairly open for both sides, which means VP is going to have that room to get the farm up on Kuman.
Still getting a bit concerned here though. Nyx is freely farming on the Slark. He is just behind no one now on the SF, but there comes the Night Stalker ultimate, and they want to go after Rezo. Rezo trying to chain away, and it is at level 2 that chains. But Funnick, do you have the silence? He actually doesn't. So Resolution should just be able to chain himself away constantly, and he does.
That is a bit surprising. They commit the ultimate to try to find something. They know it's just a Timbersaw. They don't manage to get in position in time. Felt like maybe Funnick was a bit too far forward for that one, although up top, solo.
They'll still try to make some kind of play out of this nighttime solo. Going to be chased down. There is a TP attempt, and there's nothing to cancel it.
Oh, what?
He gets away. That's not great news, but they didn't have the Shaman there, and the Void was on cooldown. So there's no mini stun coming out for the Night Stalker. That's a shame. They will get nothing out of this first night, it seems, although. Mid lane, Kasani, Fisher, Kuman, he pops the Chrono, and it's well worth it if you're going to pick up that mid Void Spirit. That's going to make it a 1-4. Virtus.pro not pulling any punches throughout this game 1.
Definitely. They've got to keep that pace up with those Chronospheres, so when it's off cooldown again, you're going to look to Kuman to try to make a move, try to force something out. And in that downtime, I think it's down to no one to really pick up the pace, apply pressure on the map, make his presence known, buy time for the Void to slowly build up. I think once you have perhaps a defusal, I think that's when we usually see Kuman just step out. And by then, they're going to be pretty confident. But before then, you know, it's down to no one to maintain his presence, and he is. He's just standing around. He has a double damage rune. They're slowly invading that jungle.
He's got the drums up. So now you can certainly look to get even more aggressive if you are VP, and his drums is one of those items that does allow you to go up against these earlier style drafts like HellRaisers. And VP, they start setting up, take over the jungle, take the outpost, and perhaps even apply some pressure onto that bottom tier 2 tower now, as they do have a siege creep.
Yeah, and again, Resolution's just doing Timbersaw things, just running in between. You do see them committing the wards for the mid-tier 1, though.
Fortification gonna be there. Rezo TP's in, makes his presence known. Zayak is level 6 now and does have the Echo, but no Blink quite as yet. Still, even with the Faded Brooch, he's gonna be able to have that added movement speed with that and the Tranquil, so he does run quite fast. 425 movement speed as of now. Those Serpent Wards, while they do get a lot of damage out on the tier 1, they will not be enough to actually secure that tower. So instead, HellRaisers, they start rotating up towards the top lane where they'd love to find Kuman, but that was so obvious They had 2 observer wards watching the river. Kuman had all the time in the world to react.
Oh yeah, I think this is exactly what VP wants to do. They know HellRaisers wants to take over that top jungle. So they play in the bot jungle, they put some really good wards to watch those entrances to ensure that Kuman can just pop out every single time there's a threat. Which means that this control in the top jungle, this early tier 1, isn't really amounting to too much just yet. And that is going to give, again, Kuman space to farm up. Of course, on the same end, HellRaisers, they are building up on Nyx. He's working towards his own defusal as well. And both of these heroes should hit roughly the same timing. A bit of a lead for Nyx at around 500 gold. But it's not too big. I think they're going to be within a minute of each other with their item pickups, unless something drastic happens, like a big pick-off comes out for either side.
Mind you, this is the timing for a Chen lineup, right? Like, for the next 10 to 15 minutes, you should be dominating the map. So,
Yeah,
with that, yes?
They've got the mech up and Roger as well, so they want to apply that high sustain they have with their Chen. He's just about to hit his 6, so you're going to have all the region world, although Roger.
Misha gonna block him in. He does give the slams, but tomatoes may not be enough to save you. In fact, maybe they will, though no. Mech was committed, they know the mech's up, and they know that HellRaisers are gonna look to make these aggressive style pushes with that mech, but without your Chen, you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, this is not the kind of start HellRaisers want. As you mentioned, this is the point when the Chen and Shadow Shaman and the Void Spirit really want to be taking over this map. It hasn't quite happened yet. They've only taken 1 tier 1 tower so far. You've got a 3k advantage onto VP, a smoke out now from Solo onto Kuman. That's because he's got his chrono up, and they want to play aggressive.
And Solo and Kuman, with that chrono, should be enough to at least find 1. And they know who they want. They want that bottom lane Kasani Void Spirit. He's the main man. You do have plenty of dodge potential on that chrono, so Kuman has to be a little bit worried, but now Kasani seems to be aware something's awry, and his team is starting to pincer around. Nyx, with the Diffusal Blade, jumps onto no one. Requiem gonna be there, no. Chrono cancels off Kuman, trying to save the life of no one. They have picked off Solo, though, and maybe that Requiem would have been a good thing, but Zayak, a huge Fissure, connects on 2. Still Funnick, falling quite low and does go down on the Night Stalker. Kasani, there's nothing he can do. He's just got everything on cooldown. He does get chakrammed up. Ash will step in a second. He'll use Dissimulate. Kuman, what kind of time walk was that? He didn't get to the low ground. It doesn't matter in the end. It'll be a 1-for-1 trade.
No, Kasani.
Why is he there? Kasani gonna go back in though. Ash will step onto 2. Rezo, Shackles gonna be there onto the Earthshaker. Still Requiem gonna be there. And Echo Slam didn't connect on anybody. But Fortune's End gonna fly out. Roger, a sitting duck. He mechs. It will not be enough, and Nyx will go down to Zayak on the Earthshaker. And really, the only man left standing after that team fight, ironically enough, was Kasani.
The original target still lives on, but at a very heavy cost. They lose out in their Nyx Slark, NIX Slark, you know, just in case you're getting confused. They lose basically their highest net worth core for all of that, and that's really not the spot you want to be in. They lose their tier 2 tower as well, so you've lost complete control in that bot jungle, and that's just going to allow VP to dip further and further in to play even more aggressive than they have. You take a look at Zayak. He's just about 300, 400 gold away from his Blink Dagger. And once he has that up and running, we know what he can do in that Shaker. It's going to be hard for HellRaisers to play around that. They need to pick up that pace. They need to give Roger his level 6, which he should get now. He has a 6. So he's got that Hand of God now with the mech. They've got all the potential in the world. They need to try to force something out. They know the Chronosphere is down, but not much longer.
Can you actually force a pace on VP now? They're 7k ahead at 16 minutes. I mean, that's a huge lead. Is it even possible anymore?
You have to go for the pickoffs. You have to try to find someone in this jungle. Funnick is trying to scout around. He doesn't have any teammates, and he doesn't do any particularly strong damage. I have to say, I'm surprised by the warding of HellRaisers. Like, they take out that top tier when you expect them to really take over that top jungle. They don't have the wards for it. They're warding their bot jungle instead, defensively, and it's just not paying off. It's not what you expect from this kind of lineup. You'd expect this lineup to play aggressive.
Seems counterproductive to ward your own jungle, but that's the position they're in, right? They have to play defensive because they know they're behind, but their draft demands them not to. So we'll see how they play this out. It's now Funnick. We'll spot out no one up at the top lane. He should be able to just TP out of there. In fact, he'll wait for now. Doesn't really have any help. Nyx, he's already left. And it looks like the pings have come out. They know Funnick's there. He hasn't TP'd yet. Solo now scouts him out. We'll run straight into him, baiting Funnick to try and go for this kill. But Funnick knows this is not safe for Solo. Can you get the Fortune's End off? He can. And now the Fisher connects, and Funnick just waited way too long. Echo committal just in case. Funnick, Crippling Fear, will silence everyone up. He's going to try and make a run for it. But can you really survive this? Well, he can fly over the trees. He'll find a courier, but it's not going to be worth his life. And he did have a TP off cooldown, but he just tried to stick around, and it does cost him.
Yeah, that's a strange position for Funnick to be in. Didn't really achieve much by that. In fact, that does allow VP now to clump up, force out that tier 1 up top, perhaps even apply some pressure onto that tier 2. They've got 5 heroes up top. You know, why not? Although they are splitting up to try to defend their own objectives. Oh, Chrono onto Kasani.
Yeah, Kerman finds a huge target in the Void Spirit, though Yules is going to be there. Can they hold him down? Astral Step to the west, east, and north. Still Fisher. Zayak knows exactly where he went. Well,
Oh, man.
you don't mind committing Chrono on one, especially when it's that mid call. More than happy to take it. And mid lane, Nyx actually finds no one.
Yeah, they managed to catch him out. They had to commit wards for that kill, though, so they're not going to be finding any objectives anytime soon, but still a fairly big kill going the way of HellRaisers, and they are setting up for more.
This is their opening, right? No one. Their main damage dealer is down, and they know Chrono's not ready. They saw
Zayak.
the Earthshaker. Shackle's going to be there. Zayak, he doesn't have the ulti anyway, so he's going to go down very easily. Now Rezo. He's not really the target they want to go after, but he's really the only one left. So Pounce will connect, still whirling deaths flying out, but Funnick controlling him up, and now the Shackles comes out from Maposhka. And with that Spirit Vessel that's available on Funnick, they do find a huge win. 4 heroes going down on the side of VP. The only man to walk away is Kuman. It's a lot of gold, and more importantly, John, about 3k worth of XP.
Yeah, that's a massive swing going the way of HellRaisers. Brings down that advantage VP had, just back down to 5k from 7. And it does open up the Roshan as well. So VP, they might have to give this objective up. It is falling fairly quickly, and they don't really have the vision to watch out for that one anymore.
Yeah, there's no way they can test this. They're not in position. So HR, they get a huge pick-off, huge team fight, and now they get a Roshan. This is what Chen lineups do best, right? This is the time. They still have time, in fact, to find out if they can get another good team fight and then maybe go for some more towers. VP, I'm sure, are happily aware that if they just drag this game out with a Void and SF, there's really going to be no problems in the late game. Slark can still be a powerhouse, but it's not going to be easy.
No, definitely not. And I think VP is going to be okay with at least that Roche going out. They are going to have to play a bit safer. They should have the Chronosphere in about 10 seconds, so maybe they look to find a simple pick-off even on a lower priority target just to make sure that spell is used, but I don't think you want to commit too hard with that Aegis up without knowing where the Slark is, and Nyx does have a Shadow Blade up, so they're going to need a lot more vision on the map to keep track of the Slark to ensure that they can find the openings they need.
They're going to wait it out for now. Just trying to finish off that complete Silver Edge on Nyx. I think after you see that Silver Edge come out, that's the time when you go. You got the Guardian Greaves now on Resolution. VP may feel the necessity to go now as well, because they have all their ultis up. Zayak, I believe, has his blink, and they do have a smoke, so they're just waiting on Kuman. Kuman currently just farming across the map, and he could always TP, but it looks like they're actually going to hold out. They're just not willing to take a team fight at this stage. Surely, though, with the BKB now, you go for it, right?
Yeah, I think the BKB is really going to be setting it up for them. They would want to make sure that first use is going to be big, and that is going to mitigate the control that HellRaisers does have. So you're going to see a freer time for no one to get his channel off on that Requiem, and it should allow a lot more damage coming out here for VP when they decide to fight. I think they understand that HellRaisers with the Aegis should be the ones playing aggressive, so they're just playing a bit more passively. They're trying to farm up. And HellRaisers, if they don't maximize this Aegis before it expires, of course, that's going to allow VP to just take the next fight. They've got the Chrono waiting, all ready to use it.
But now you've got the Silver Edge on Nyx. You've got a Blink coming out on Funnick. And what's even scarier, in my opinion, is not the Chrysalis that Kasani just picked up, but he's going for an Aghanim Scepter. You know, that silence with the pulse, and the fact that he gets 2 charges of it, you've got 1 BKB right now on your SF. Other than that, well, you do have a Void BKB as well, apparently, so maybe now's the time, and they do smoke up. VP, trying to bait in with no one. Smoke as
smoked
well.
up as well.
They've got to watch out for that Chrono, though. Chrono, they're all grouped up. They do split up a bit, but Zayak, he spots out one. There's the Chrono. They caught out Kasani on that Void Spirit, but the mech, the heals, they all come out, but it's not enough. They're just blowing up everyone on the side of HellRaisers. The only one to survive so far is Nyx, but he is getting pretty darn close to dying. In fact, Maposhka, he'll go down to the Shaman, and Nyx just forced to run away, even with the Aegis. It just meant nothing. And VP, did they even pop BKBs? No one did.
Yeah.
Kuman did.
Yeah. That's definitely worthwhile. Just allowed him to get his full channel off. Funnick, Blink TP, Zayak, no way to stop it.
No Blink, no Fisher. VP taking a very, very successful team fight. 6k net worth lead back going their way. Just buys even more time for Kuman on that Void to just keep farming up. He'll be going for a Butterfly up next. I mean, you look at the Butterfly and you think, well, he didn't even use his BKB last fight. I mean, they didn't even touch him. He was just freely roaming around doing what he wanted.
Yeah,
They'll
I think the
smoke up
main
again.
issue for...
HellRaisers, they aren't done, John. They want to try one more time, and I think they have to. This is their timing. They still have the Aegis. No one. Gonna get jumped on. The Fusel is there. Solo gonna be there with the false promise. No, he doesn't actually have it, but the Requiem and Zayak with the Fisher to just stop everything. Kasani, he gets bashed on the first hit. Kuman bashing on command. They got the ensnare off on Nyx with the clumsy net, and Nyx, he no longer has an Aegis. He does have Shadow Dance, and he will try to make a run that way, but Fisher again from Zayak, gonna hold him down. He didn't have Dark Pack going, and with that, they'll lose the Slark to boot.
Oh man, that was HellRaisers smoking up to try to find something. That's VP without the slam and the Chrono. They just jumped the wrong target. They jumped no one when he has a BKB and he has Requiem backup. And that was enough. Nyx was right on top of that SF. And it was Zayak's response, that stun. Just giving him so much to work with. Wow.
He's just forcing a tier 3 now. Just by himself. He just... Team, where's my team? Here they come. Fortification has been popped, but VP, they don't care. They'll keep going. How do you defend this? You're 9k net worth behind. You just popped all your cooldowns, basically, apart from maybe the Serpent Wards. Not that those Serpent Wards are really going to help this defense. And VP will claim the first racks. It's that
just
easy.
like that. Yeah, no defense coming out from HellRaisers. They do ping out that mid tier 2, and they're just going to take it as well. So the map is shrinking here for HellRaisers. You do see Miposhka trying to get something done up top, but he doesn't get the opportunity to drop his wards just yet. Is forced to walk back.
Run, Miposhka, run. Scary in the tree line as well. They've got a ward there just watching. A Tinker ward. Just down on Miposhka. Even if he does go to those trees. probably is still going to die, but VP, they're not even paying attention to that. They don't care about that top tier 2. They'll just creep skip the top lane, and now Resolution says, okay, I guess I'll go deal with these guys. Chains forward. Nyx does pop the Silver Edge. Great timing from him. Not so much from a Poshka, who thinks he's not under a ward, but he is. And now he knows with the clumsy net. And Silver Edge gonna be there on the Earthshaker. He commits Echo. Nyx won't really cop too much damage. And now Funnick, he goes onto Solo in the back. Straight on that Oracle. The silence about to wear off, but it lasts long enough. Don't know. Boss Promise will be just in the nick of time. And Nyx, oh, he gets stunned up. It's all underneath wards. They just can't catch a break, John. It just doesn't get any better for HellRaisers as time goes on.
I mean, it's a big advantage for VP now. 27 minutes in, 6-18, a 10k gold advantage for VP. And that's up against a Chen Shadow Shaman draft. You know, this is a draft that wanted to melt these towers 10 minutes ago. And they're 10 minutes too late now. You've got the Daedalus up on no one. He hits like a truck. None of these objectives will stand too long. You've got the Chronosphere up and running on Kuman once more. So this high ground push should be fairly straightforward.
Yeah, and poor Kasani, he's just still trying to go for that Axe. He jumps in with the Astral Step and Remnant. That's going to delay it by maybe half a second. It was Rezo anyway. It's not like he needs to hit the towers. Rezo just continually solo cresting his SF, and now they jump in. Serpent Wards are there, and Funnick straight in the back with the silence, but he just gets bashed to death. Kuman thinking about the chrono, doesn't eat it yet, and now he commits it. He caught the Slark, he caught the Chen. This could be all over. So they will buy it back, but this will be their last-ditch attempt to try and defend, and VP? I think they're just kiting back. Surely you don't go all the way back, and instead they are going after Kasani, who Astral steps away, but Chakram, Resolution barely connecting on the edge of the blade. And VP will go back and clean up that top racks, and they still have a mid racks, and there's the GG. Nyx knows it's all over. You can't go any further with this kind of Chen draft. Not when the game's like this. And HellRaisers, they try to run something special. It will not work in their favor.
There were some shining moments there from HellRaisers. Of course, a couple of times where it did look like they were getting that momentum. I think the moment they stopped shutting down that top lane and started playing to VP's tune down bot, responding to what they were doing on that bot lane, I think that's the moment where it kind of fell apart. They kind of lost their momentum there. They didn't quite find enough objectives to get themselves snowballing. And they kind of just played into what VP wanted to do. So perhaps they fix that up for game number 2, fix up their playstyle. I don't think it was majority a draft issue. It was just down to execution. VP just managed to get what they wanted out of the map faster.
Seems that way. Of course, game number 2 should be coming up in about 5 to 10 minutes. It is MLP Dota on johnxfire, and well, we're looking forward to see how this second game goes. We'll see you all again very, very soon.